Welcome everybody to this week's One People Show. I'm Lisa Harrison and back in Australia. Welcome to my fellow desert dwellers, Bob Ryder, back in Pennsylvania as well. Hello,
Mute.
Bobby.
Mute button, Bob.
I know he's there.
Come on, Bob.
Come on, Bob. You can do it. Just press the button.
Sorry. You know, I have two different mute buttons, and that makes it even worse. I'm sorry.
How are you going? Settling back in?
I'm doing good. I'm tired, though. Oh, God. I guess everything's just kind of catching up to me. I think I'm going to sleep really, really well tonight.
I haven't done much sleeping at all. I had these sort of 4 or 5 hour naps during the day and then unable to sleep at all at night. So last night I had a few glasses of red and tried to knock myself out, which worked because the next resort was to just hit myself over the head with a bottle. But I didn't have to do that, so I'm very happy. I've had a good night's sleep. Who else have we got? We got Brian, obviously, back in San Diego.
Is that where I am?
I think so.
I'm not so sure.
You're not so sure?
I don't know where I am, actually. I don't know much about anything that's going on. My consciousness is still in the deep Western Sahara Desert, and I'm trying to explain to friends and family of what happened out there, and they're getting a tilted head, cockeyed, a confused puppy dog look expression on my face. So I'm ready for the next adventure, but as usual, happy to be here.
Lots of pats on the head with, you'll be okay, Brian.
Thanks. Thanks, Lisa.
Moving on. We've got Chris down in Melbourne.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad you guys are back. I've been winging it for a couple of weeks with help from various wing people. Interesting experience, but glad you're back all the same, so we can actually, wind the thing back up and get the thing going again, and yay.
Yeah, we are about to hit phase 2, I think, in a big way. So,
well, phase 2 would be great. Phase 2 is.
Hey,
phase
thank
2
you,
is good.
Chris, by the way, for holding down the fort while we were gone. You did an excellent job.
Yes, you did.
No problem. No, look, and I have to thank all the folks. I did hit on a lot of folks at the last minute, and I really thank them for their support because I was never really sure whether you guys were going to get on the show, and you did a bit. But we
weren't either. That was.
Yeah, well, that's it. I had Scott jump on, and Brad and Bethany, and a bunch of other people as well. So kudos to those folks for the support, and we'll be pulling them in again for sure.
Mhm. And for an encore, because she's not actually going to be on the show anymore, but we do have Heather with us for the first 15 to 20 minutes today. You there, Don? Heather. She's there.
I'm not so sure.
No, I'm here. What is non? Oh, there she is.
There she is.
So we know that you've been busy.
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
We're good.
Wait, is Mark on the call? Did you say hi to Mark?
Yeah,
no.
hi.
Hi, Mark. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, hi.
That's for you, Mark. Sorry. Good. Please continue.
Keeping it real.
You're all going very Transformer on me, so I'm going to try to pick out what you guys are saying.
Okay, at the moment you're loud and clear, so I know we only have you for a few minutes, so before we actually get to Mark, do you want to go ahead and let everyone know what you've been working on the last few days? It's since we left last week. I know there's been a lot of work going on, both energetically and in practical terms. So,
what I can is discuss with you a work session Caleb and I had tonight, and in about 15 minutes, we covered all the banking aspects, all the tools, because people have their value. They just don't know how to access it or use it or transfer it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went through, Project 13 is totally, that's Caleb's doing. So I stayed really out of it and really sat down for the first time, went through the apps. I knew, I trusted, and was not disappointed at the fact that he knew what he was doing. And it's beautiful work. So we went through and just said, okay, there's many tools that can be used for people to access their value. And really, the principles and the functions of how people access their value, transfer the value, deliver the value, it's all the same, except for it's directly between embodiment to embodiment. And anyone who wants to play or engage with you has to transparently come forward. In the old system, it wasn't like that. They can still participate. They just have to be very transparent, and you get to determine your choice. Do you want to play with them or not? Regarding, for instance, the former reported or purported BIS and all of their member banks, central banks, things like that, they still have a place that they can sit there. You got to determine whether you want to play with them or not. And they need to determine how they are willing to play with you, if at all. And if they make themselves irrelevant, they make themselves irrelevant. Everything was canceled, so really it's your choice to re-engage them, make them alive again, but not their system, just their entity. With these, every person, every embodiment throughout the universe is a bank. You hold your value. You're responsible for your value. You own your value. When you decide to transfer or receive or deliver value, it's between you and at least one other embodiment or more. But everything's transparent, and I love the server system. I haven't really sat down with Caleb about Project 13 other than, tidbits while everyone else was working. And I love how everyone's responsible for their own device. They have their own data, and his server really is just a transfer mechanism, because that's where the old systems really bogged down the actual value, was through distribution and representations. Now you get to choose what representations you're willing to play with or use or accept, or you can just go direct to energetics and work it that way. Either way, you're in charge. You're the boss of your value, and nobody else can infringe on that, invade that, or assert that. I really love the quote his friend had that he used on Project 13 website, which is self-governance in a digital age. I mean, that digital is just a tool, and you don't even need Project 13. You don't need any of this stuff to access your own value, but this is one tool that's there for you to do it. So here's the best part, is that because the principles are the same, only this time they're transparent how it functions, any of the former systems would actually be debunking anything and everything they've ever done up to date if they dishonor or do not recognize your value and your declaration. They would actually have to go in and rebut it. So everything's done. All the work is done. It's just a matter of you being able to access the value. And that's Project 13. I love where it sits. I love the VEX protocols. They resonate for me. It's just a matter of whether they resonate for any other embodiment. It's a perfect tool for me for right now. So that's where we are. I'm going to be setting the banking part we did in 15 minutes. It will take Caleb and the team that he's working with basically 3 days to adjust the apps for the banking part, but everyone has their own accounts. They're responsible for them, and there's a lot of value streams that people can be really creative about, and their investment streams and everything else, but it's all in each of your hands. That's what's beautiful about it. Nobody can tamper with it, and it all sits within that eternal essence. Even if you don't want, you don't believe in eternal essence filing or any of the filings, it doesn't matter. You can still run your value however you want to. They can't touch it, meaning they being those that want to commandeer it, steal it, usurp it, invade it. It's all over and done with. And so that's the updates I have for you. It'll take me this week to finish up basically the work with Caleb. to get him what he needs, and then it takes him 3 days to add the things to the apps. And July 1st will be the iPhone app launch. Windows is already out there. We're just waiting for Microsoft to go in and put it on in their app store. And his desktop is flying. He's almost got it done. He's working through that very, very quickly, which is great because that's the one that I have to use since I don't have an iPhone or a Microsoft phone. And that's it.
All right. Well, do you mind if I just open it up to questions from, firstly, maybe Chris? Chris?
Yep. Sorry, I got interrupted halfway through.
Okay. Well, what about? Then I'll pass it over to Mark.
Pass it over to Mark for a moment.
Mark, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Heather, I was wondering if it was correct to say that when you contract with each other, that you're in the contract that we did. Is that then going to need to be in a registry as well? Are we looking at doing a registry with that? And does that relate to? Well, that would be my first question.
Well, basically that one-page contract that we ended up working on before you left, basically all that does is it gets altered so that it's just a declaration. It's not a contract. Because first you go in and you actually declare what you have. Like any bank, a bank needs funding, right? So you're actually deciding how much of your, we reserve $5 billion for every person or every embodiment involved for their equity, and then there was another $5 billion, not reserved, but actually returned, and another $5 billion for anyone who claims damages. All it takes is a declaration. All the underwriting was already done by OPBT, so all of that's sitting in there and it's unrebutted. So you've already underwritten your entire bank. All you need to do is deposit what essentially would be the equivalent of a bond, for instance, so that you enter it into Project XIII. You deposit that into your bank, so to speak, because you are the bank. You're just letting people know what's in there, what you want your bank to work with, and they actually get to go in and start using it immediately. Transfer it. Use it.
Okay.
And then everyone on Project XIII or even out there, they get to see who's using what. And you can use old tools and now tools and UB.
Okay, Heather, remember how we talked about the difference with the funds not being blockable, and we would stipulate that they're not to be used for overnight trading or trading platforms. One really good question that came up was, what's in it for the bank if we do contract with a bank to work with some of our value and bond some of our value to use in, say, U.S. dollars or euro or something?
Banks have nothing
do we just pay them fees if we did that?
Banks have nothing to do with any of this, Mark.
Okay.
If you want to go and play with a bank, then you make your own terms with them. You already know how they're going to operate and what I would do is just get everything into, if I were to go and play with the bank, I would say, here's what I'm willing to do. I already know what you guys do, so here's what I'm willing to do. But as far as leveraging and all that, I mean, you have to sit down and make your marks. But as far as Project XIII, if I go and open my account and do a bank out of there, actually, I'm the bank. So really, it's just a notice. The Project XIII, my account ends up being just a notification system as well as my own registry system for all that I do out of my bank.
Cool.
Okay, and so then I can go out and get a certification from, that's one thing I'm going to show powers that were, or the perceived roles of powers that were, how to go in and actually interact, repurpose themselves if they choose to, or anyone of the embodiments to go in and say, hey, here's one example of how to make a value stream. Not so much a revenue stream solely, but a value stream, which also includes a revenue stream. And they say, okay, Heather's going to go out. I create a representation, which some people call, most people call corporations back before. That entity is actually just a representation of me, so that people can identify that with a particular doing I'm going to do. So let's say I go out and say, okay, I'm going to go in, Mark, Chris, whoever. If you want me to give a certification that you actually have this particular funding in your bank, then I can do that. Now, whether someone finds that certification valuable or not, that just depends on everyone's agreement, meaning mine with whoever's asking for the cert. And then as far as anyone else, I guess it would be a matter of credibility, performance history, that kind of a thing. That's just one example. And there's a lot of good people out there that will go in and do the work as far as auditing, certifying. They need to repurpose too, because they used to work for corporations and the corporations are shut down. Now they need a place where they can actually work and do something they feel good about, and yet it uses their now skill sets, right? So really it's about using what's around.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, and I'm wondering if everything that I'm looking at right now is what can we do that anyone can do, like that it will be available for anyone to do.
That's what I look at when I go to do something is what one doing can I do that touches as much as possible in the highest good of all. And then I go in and I look at the now tools. What is an immediate value stream? Because everything's energetics. That's one thing that I'm going to be putting out there data-wise, is just that part of the value system which hasn't ever been disclosed, at least not to en masse embodiment. And with that, in that value system and the information that wasn't told, lies the debt part of the value system. It also lies the financial part of the value system. You were only given part of the story or part of the information. So all of that will come clear, and anyone can do this. Michael Tellinger kept asking me, how does South Africa, or how do I go in and underwrite or write a promissory note or anything else? The mechanics of banking are not bad, guys. The mechanics of banking is beautiful, except for they only tell you part of it. They don't tell you the whole thing. So if you go in and you do exactly what, how it's been done, if they go in and dishonor that, all of a sudden they dishonor all their other paper. So they've got to make a choice. But the thing is, you don't have to rely on them making a choice. You can go in and you declare, and then it takes someone to rebut it in order for it to be invalidated.
Okay, Heather.
It's a very simple process.
A quick question. One thing I've been thinking about in terms of the asset that's backing us. Would it be true to say that, in fact, you could, if you wanted to point at something and say there's the value, would it actually be our DNA?
Asset backing you? That's really an interesting question in light of information.
We have value. We've talked about values being energy, but if you would that be a true statement in your view?
It doesn't resonate for me. The body is a vehicle. You yourself, your being, is creator. So when you create and you do, for every unit that you spend in energy for the highest good of all, you draw units of energy behind you. And it can manifest in any form you want it to. You just have to set your intent on what you want it to manifest as. And every unit that you spend just for the highest good of your body and not any of the other embodiments, you pull one-to-one value behind you into frontal view so that you can use it. And then if you go in and you spend 1 unit of energy to damage any other embodiment, that's the debt system. That's what we know is the debt system. And basically you lose that 1 unit, plus you just have created a debt for yourself to pay off any damage that any other body incurs. It's a very simple value system. They just cut it up and took the parts that,
Okay, well, so the DNA relates to the vehicle for the energy, which is the body. Which that's fine. I just clarified. Just wanted to see what you were thinking on that subject.
Well, the other thing was DNA is like a credit card. it doesn't represent the value. It just helps. It's a tool to use the value. Your body is a tool. Your soul or your internal essence, whatever you want to call it, that is the value. So DNA is a part of your density.
Well, it makes sense to me.
As an example, Heather, if I was going to develop a new communication system that I want for the whole planet to have access to free communication, and then whatever value that I put forward is also backed by 7 other billion embodiments for each unit. Is that basically what you're saying?
Well, I let me think about that, because what it is I only focus and have control over my own embodiment. For me to tie 7 billion embodiments, and actually it's universal, so you're talking many, many, many times over that. For me to tie anyone else into what I'm doing, that just doesn't resonate with me.
Okay.
To tie them in to be an insurance on anything that I do does not resonate with me, because I'd want to know if someone's doing that to me and have a say in it, whether I want to do it or not. What I can do is I can go in and say, I'm going to do in the highest good of 7 billion or 500 quadrillion. It doesn't matter, even if it's just one or more. I'm going to go in and do the highest in the highest good for all, and whatever draws behind me, great. I don't do it for what draws behind me, what I can make, whatever value stream. I do it just because that's what makes me feel good. It makes me expand when I see others empowered. So I can only speak for myself, Bob, but it does not resonate to me that I would tie any other embodiment into what I choose to do consciously when they don't have a knowing or conscious choice.
No, I just wanted to clarify what you meant by you're pulling the energy of all the embodiments if you're doing it for the greatest good of all.
Yeah.
No, you don't. I didn't say that. I said that if I do for the greatest good of all, every energy unit that I put out, I draw behind it infinite. I draw value, absent limit, behind it for every unit.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that every embodiment gives me a unit behind it. No, I'm just drawing from source, which I'm a creator source, just like you guys are each a creator source. Everyone's equal. Everyone has this ability to do this. And so many have come on, I think Chris has had quite a few come on the show who actually have spoken some data. It's what they haven't told that we'll see if they make a choice to tell what they haven't told. But that's really the energetics and how it works. That is the value system, and all they've shown is a part of the value system and not the whole.
Well, the key to it is the key to it is agreements. I mean, if we actually have agreements with one another about how we're going to conduct ourselves, and everybody, there's full disclosure of all details, it will work. Okay. At the moment, we have a tacit social agreement. We've had a whole lot of agreements that we haven't been party to, foisted upon us by the system, deceptive acts and practices. So
yeah, but those all melt away when you understand the energetics of it. They all melt away because you aren't a party to it.
That's what I'm saying. If you step away from that and recognize it for what it is and form a new agreement, then the new agreement stands. Does it not?
Only if they actually want to play with it. I'm not going to play with someone who doesn't want to play with me. I'm not going to force them. So like Mark and I went in to test and work within basically contracts or just a representation of energetic contracts. Mm-hmm. All of this is about energy. So really a piece of paper is just a representation of that energetic contract. Now, depending on how savvy, someone is as far as how much knowledge they pull from within out about the energetics determines how much you need to put in writing to disclose that representation. Mark and I have like one piece of paper, and that's it for now. But if we choose or we feel at any moment of any doing within that energetic contract that we need to put things in writing so there's some more clarity, then we do that. Otherwise, because of the fact that we got to meet and actually have the energetic magnetic fields meet up, a lot of data gets transferred just that way. Same with Brian and I, same with Bob and I, Lisa and I, anyone. Brian and Bob or Lisa and Mark. It's about energetics. So everything that you see around you is representation. Pretty soon you won't need any representation of value. You won't need any representation of the energetic contracts. It's all contained within your magnetic fields. And you own those magnetic fields. You operate, you're the sole operator of those magnetic fields unless you consent to someone messing with them or engaging in them.
Well, I view the contracts as being an educational tool to make you aware of the actual energetic processes going on in the background. Because, as you say, if I'm forming an agreement with a friend that I know very well, we don't even really need to do anything other than say, yes, I agree, shake hands and walk off. That's a purely energetic contract. It's only on paper if you aren't at that level with the other person, in my mind, and it's useful at this point in time, as you say. So that's just another part of the whole process of educating ourselves. But I do have one question, Heather. The aspect of coming to agreements with the banks in terms of if you wanted to take some of your value in the form of a bond and put it with the bank, and we're the creditor in this instance, and that's the flip that we all have to get our heads around. The form of that bond, is that something you guys are going to issue tools on, so people have got some guidance as to where to start with that if they want to go there?
Well, I mean, as far as embodiments being the creditor, they've always been the creditor.
That's
that
correct.
was the lack of transparency in what they didn't tell.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as you say, these guys have to make a decision about whether any of their paper means anything. If they refuse a bond from an embodiment, if they, on the basis that it's not valid for some reason, they're invalidating everything they've ever done. So, that's something that we have to educate them on, that we now know what we're doing. It's just the form of them. It's the form of them. It's the words, because they'll expect something in paper. That's their game. The paper.
Actually, that's the thing. They don't expect anything on paper. They just put you through the rigmarole putting it on paper so that they have an easier mechanism to control who knows how what works. Those in the highest levels of banking know that it is energetic. So it's let's do this, Chris. I want to make sure that questions are answered. I was actually going to sit down, and everyone's been asking for a manual from those in the system, former systems that want to change things, and actually have. Everything's been changed. They're just rolling it out very, very slowly. And it's because they need to know basically where to go, like how to do this so that it won't be taken down again. And that's cool. That's fine. So what I'm going to do, all I know how to do, what the template has been working out the best, is put myself into a position as, in the example of how to do, put myself in that position. Because if I'm willing to put myself in that position, then I'm not going to sit there and tear it down if someone else goes in that position. Does that make sense? I'm not setting them up to fail. I'm not setting them up to, they know that if I'm putting myself in that position, that is a pure, solid position. And they can ferret it out, dissect it, review it, discuss it, same as what we provided the period for the UCC filings for them to go in and rebut them, which never happened. So I hope that answers at least some questions, because I'm really sorry I don't have much time tonight, but I want to go over all of this information, and I know that it really helps out. If people want to send in questions, let me get out the first data set, and we can build off of there, and that way people can ask really pointed questions. But yes, actually one question Brian had that he wrote was, phase one is giving people access to their value. Yes, actually phase one was giving people access to the knowledge of what the value is. Phase two is giving people access to their value. And simultaneously, maybe even before, phase three is actually to develop a system that allows people to use it for goods and services. So like if you have a grocer who sits there and says, I don't really like the former systems, how it operates, and I know that I'm the value, I know that I'm the one producing this. I have consumers who actually feel the same way, but I need the goods and services to put into my store in order for them to buy that actually are the same heart, the same place of consciousness how do I find them? And that's what I loved about Project 13 is it allows, right now, the main function that it's working as is similar to Facebook. And then on that layers up so that you end up having functions like Skype. You have functions that go all the way into the banking. So Caleb's just going to, and his team is just going to layer and layer and layer whatever the embodiments choose to have added to it. That's what gets added to it. So they're going to set up a way for people to decide this is what I want to invest in is my tools to be able to use my value and connect with those that feel the same way I do or even feel differently to help me look at different ways of doing things. This is just a quantum jumping pad. Project 13 is a quantum jumping pad, and as Caleb says, he's not attached to it, and he would love for some 14-year-old to show up and say, Caleb, that's great, I can do better. And they do something better. And then that's a tool that everyone grows from, So Facebook would be the best example. Mark Zuckerberg did a great job. Put out this particular function, this product with a particular function. And the only thing that really people don't really like about it, according to what came out last week, is the fact that your information is being sold for millions and millions of dollars to other people, and it's not your data once you enter it in from your device into their server. And yet they're making millions and millions of dollars, which is why they give you the device for free so that they can actually harvest that info. This is much different. That's why I like Project 13. It resonates more for me with the eternal essence and where the value actually is and how the energetics actually flow. So I hope that answers some questions and gives an update, at least.
Heather, I'd like to ask for more clarification on just like the bridging side of it. I really get the after, like the later phase when people start taking up the iExchange and they start exchanging and trading for goods and services in the iExchange system. It's the bridging part that I'm more unclear about. I have some ideas about it, but my understanding is that we can create a bond and get some value and do some value with a bank if we choose, and then from there move towards, as quickly as possible, move people towards the iExchange. Is that correct, or is there any clarification you can give now?
Hey, Mark, look at the chat. It looks like you're coming through as a transformer to Heather, so I don't know if she picked any of that up.
Oh, crap.
Okay, if you heard the question, just repeat it so that people...
How come you guys heard?
Well, she's hearing all of us as transformers on
Can anyone
her end.
hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you're good.
I hear you.
We're all good. In fact, Heather's good too, but Heather's good for us, but I think she's going out. She's receiving us quite badly.
Yeah, that's what it is. So she said type it, Mark, if you can, or else...
I'll type it, okay?
Yeah, just type it in. Good idea. Thank you, Brian.
Uh-huh.
It was a good question.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. The last 5 minutes have been completely transformer for me. I haven't understood a word.
Looks like clear in the chat room.
Yeah.
It's clear in the chat. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yep.
So it may have happened, and I just didn't hear it. But so can someone explain to me what this actually looks like in terms of practical funding? I mean, the question that everybody's always had is, how do I buy my bread and put gas in my car? So someone explain it to me.
Okay, Mark, do you want to have a go at that? I'm happy to do it, but
he's
typing a question. Okay.
From what I understand, Lisa, if you created a bond, okay, and suppose you wanted to deposit a certain amount of value in your local bank, well, you would create an amount of bond for whatever value that you wish to extend into that forum, and they're either going to accept it or have to rebut why they're not accepting it, because it would invalidate all of their other notes that they also accept.
So well, that's what I'm asking. Is this going to require each and every one of us to go to a bank with a bond and have funds deposited into our IUV account?
No. But that would have funds deposited into your current bank account.
Into your current bank account.
Okay.
You're crediting your account.
Yeah, inside the IUV, it's really straightforward. It's simply one internal essence, literally that's trading by agreement with another. That's the easy bit. It's just.
Yeah, I get that. But hang on, that's just between people who have signed up with an IUV account and they're within Project XIII, and you can deal directly with them person to person. But I'm talking about outside of that, those who are paying their rent, those who want to book a plane and go somewhere, those who want to purchase something from a store. If they don't currently, so is what you're saying, the only way to deal with that outside of Project XIII, outside of the IUV, is to have an arrangement with a bank.
Right. Well, until you reach phase 3, which would be phase 3, where we would offer, for your local grocer or whatever company or that you might want to deal with, where they will directly accept the IUV exchange.
Okay. So we're looking at IUV as introducing a whole new currency into the system. And is that what you're saying?
You could view it that way, but really you're actually pulling people into a different paradigm. You're actually trading directly with one another in full transparency with either a paper agreement or a verbal agreement, energetic if you like. That's a completely different way of working, and in fact, it's like when I go down to the farmers markets on the weekend, you've got people who grew stuff, brought it down, and I'm actually buying it from them. Okay, it's very, very direct. The whole process of bridging across to it is actually a matter of education. It's actually educating everybody to the actual reality that you can do this. It's simply that people don't know you can do this. That's the key issue. In the same way they don't know they can go to a bank and put a bond in. Okay, it's a very, very much an educational process, ongoing. And if we've got a tool to go either direction, we can do it.
So to me it sounded like, too, Lisa, to dovetail on what Chris just shared, is that when you go to the grocery store and you have all the stuff that you can buy in the store, they have all their suppliers that they buy those things from as well. And the bridge or the missing link to the puzzle is to help the grocer understand that they can use the same system to acquire their goods, just like to mirror your exchange system to acquire your goods from them. So it's like taking it back to, so if they can use the same system to purchase or acquire all the things from their suppliers, then they can use the same system to sell it to you. And so it's kind of like the courtesy notice where it bleeds through the system to get everybody operating on the same new system. Is that how everybody else understood it as well when she brought up the grocery store example?
Well, I think what I'm seeing is IUV can be looked at as another currency, and a global one, and it's about having the conversations and having the relationships where people are hopefully choosing to adopt that currency and operate in that currency. And if it was presented to businesses, say here in Australia, it's like, okay, you've got a customer base here that use Australian dollars and they're all struggling and none of them have much. Or if you choose, you can also operate with this other currency where your customer base actually has billions of dollars. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And it just highlights is the fact that the educational process that's begun with the One People's Public Trust and developed to now continues to need to spread outwards to encompass everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really the process that we're going through right here and now. And this is this is the beginning of it. And you said before, does this mean everyone has to go to the bank with the bond if they want to go and play with the banks? Well, actually it does, but if we've got some basic templates that we can walk up and actually have a discussion over with the person at the right level in the bank, which I presume would be, it's not going to be a bank manager, it's going to be much higher than that. And I'm more than happy to do that, and I'm more than happy to spread information about people, how to do that, and to give them the confidence to do it. The only thing that I would caution against is that the bonds must be protected so they can't play the hypothecation games that they've been playing with all of the other bonds that we've inadvertently created by them not telling us that we're actually the creditor. Okay, we can't let them play that game with these funds, because all they'll get for their trouble is a fee from us, which we'll negotiate with them for them handling this particular financial instrument on our behalf. That's all banks should ever have been. But because we didn't know what we were doing, they basically ripped us off and created the whole derivatives, the whole stock market and derivatives market, and all the big financial programs, as they call them, are all based around the fact that we're ignorant that we were the creditor. And this is the educational program where we correct not only the public's perceptions, but we correct the behaviour of the banks. So I'm more than happy to go down to the bank. I'm more than happy to sit down with the CEO of my bank and his CFO and present him with a bond and give them a choice. Are you going to invalidate everything you've ever done, or are you going to work in honour with me and acknowledge the value that's in this presentation I'm giving to you? That's where we're really at. But you see, that's as Mark said, that's a bridging phase, right? We don't want to stay playing in that playground. That's not where we want to be. We want to be out in the absolute, where we're dealing directly with other eternal essences, one-to-one, by agreement. Whether they're a vendor, it doesn't matter whether they sell trucks. We're still dealing with a person who's presenting something that we might need or not need. So, phase 2, bring it on.
Phase 3, bring it on. Also.
Phase 3, yeah. Well, look, they'll develop in parallel, because there'll be people that are ready to work within that system. And if you want an example, folks, of a system which is similar but not exactly the same as what we're talking about, but similar, go and have a look at a website called Global Settlements Foundation. They run a private trading network based on some software called Loom, and they do have a connection to the banking system, because you can pull value out, but they do it by basing their... if you choose to work within their system, you can use gold. Okay, now, because gold's money under Basel III, yes, you can move value out of their system. But inside their system, they've got people trading coffee for petrol. Okay, because you can nominate any currency, you can nominate any physical item to be your currency by agreement with the other party, which is exactly the contractual situation Heather's talking about that she's trying to educate us to. Okay, because in the end, that paper contract leads to an energetic contract further down the track once we all understand what we're doing a bit better. So have a look at that. It's a very interesting website, and the guys in it have a deep understanding of what they're doing. They know about trading value. And again, it's not exactly what the IUV will be, because clearly we're trading on our value as living souls within that system, which is where we need to be, because everything else is a representation and it's subject to being ripped off, which is what we've been. So, massive educational program, and I'm ready for it. That's where we need to go next, and that's great. And we've got to keep educating the people. So I'll shut up now.
Well, just to dovetail on what you just said, Chris, is that this is the kind of thing that once you can show it working on any small level, people say this will take years to roll out. Well, no, it won't. I mean, if you have a system that's broken and you have a system that supports the elite that have all the cash and doesn't support the rest of the 99% of us, and you take a new model and you show it working on some small level, and you get that out on a viral campaign, just like we have with all of the One People's Public Trust stuff when it first came out, And what you have is a new system that will spread like wildfire once that they can see that it's working on a small level. Because if it works on a small level, then it can work on a small level for many across any time or space. So we become the pioneers, and everybody that's listening to these calls become the change agents to get this thing online and get it moving out there quickly.
We always say it only takes one. So in any sector of commerce or industry, it's only going to take one company, one organization, one corporation, whatever they want to call themselves, to come on board and basically steal the entire customer base before everybody else goes, oh, hang on, we need to play.
Yep.
Yeah, well, not only that, it'll only take one person to have one bank accept a bond. And, that opens the fire hose. Now, we peppered the system with courtesy notices, and that had a big energetic effect. And if we all turn up at the doors of the banks and say, hey, we're going to give you a limited part of our value so I can solve certain problems before I move out of your system altogether, and you can have a fee, and it's your choice to negate everything you've done or not, it only takes one person to get that over the line, and then we're on our way.
Yep.
And if we have thousands of people with that tool and one of them gets it over the line, then the door is open.
Then we can have an FRN burning party where we take the last of our Federal Reserve notes and we burn them, and we make a YouTube video out of it, and we make that viral. And then everybody can go out the streets and do the same.
That's right. I mean, this in fact has always been the game. It's the information that the banks didn't want us to have, which is now well and truly out there. And if you look at all of the work that's been done by people around the world promoting this aspect of banking in all of the videos they've been making about how the system evolved and how it works and what they're actually doing to us. This is, if you like, this is the result of all that work people have done in revealing the banking system. And of course that includes Heather and the trustees who've really laid it bare. So, and it's up to us now to actually pick up this ball and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mark and Brian and I had a really interesting conversation while we were in Morocco about we are the gold, and that our spirit, our soul, our essence is the gold, and our body is the silver. And the physical gold and silver are simply representations of that, of our spirit, of our essence, and our physical bodies.
Yeah, I think the gold side of it was, my understanding was that the soul is the gold and the silver is the body. And
right.
It's esoterically that's the banking, the spirit itself, like we might say that's eternal essence. And so eternal essence has infinite value. Then it comes in and incarnates in a soul and in a body. And the soul and the body come with their own value that backs the currencies, and that it never was the actual metals, gold and silver, those were not, they were just representations of the soul and the spirit. And now we have this Basel III, which is like which I thought was a really good thing, but now it sounds like it's the selling point was that you could leave all of the gold and silver and all of the other resources in the ground, but now what I'm seeing is that's kind of a trying to trick us into moving the value from the soul and the spirit, the soul and the body to the metals, to the actual resources, so that they can then be controlled rather than having the actual value be in the people themselves. And because if the people, before, the value was in the people, but they didn't know it, and they were tricked into thinking that their value, that they were debtors rather than creditors. So as it was, we had people not claiming their value and and essentially being declared lost at sea at the age of 7, is my understanding. If you then look at those people, then as we wake up and say, we're no longer lost at sea, I am alive, and I am eternal essence embodied and alive. And then you then decide where you give your value. Before the and currently what's been happening is the value has been stolen in many ways and used in trading platforms, locked up and used in trading platforms that create huge wealth, and it's not used for the greater good of everyone. It's been used to control people. And if we take our own value and take it to use for our own, for what we choose to do and what we choose to back, and then we have 100% liability in what we do, we then have a very different world moving forward, because the value, we're no longer giving our value to the governments, the alleged governments, the corporations that are posing as governments, like the United States Incorporated or Spain Incorporated. It's all these governments that were acting as governments, but they're really corporations. If we start contracting above the UCC, which is now archived, and above, we're no longer working in corporations. We're working as individual embodiments of eternal essence, using this contract that I posted an example of the contract. Lisa, I think, did you post an example of that contract that Heather and I did?
No, I haven't seen it.
All right. Well, I posted an example of the contract on my blog so that it's available. Anybody can download it.
What's your
can
blog
add
address?
your own. It's just hoza.me. So HOZA.me. Hoza.me. If you go there, there's I just posted it a little while ago. I didn't put any explanation for it, unfortunately. I just didn't have time to. But there's the document there. You can download it. You can use that, actually. You can use that document. That document is what Heather created to use to establish jurisdiction and also to establish the value. So we can use that document as a way of contracting between individuals that is no longer under any other jurisdiction of governments, and you can also...
It's only under eternal essence.
You can also read not under the IRS, the ATO, the Australian Taxation Office, or any other taxation body. It's that these companies that act to siphon energy off of others. This is establishing a contractual relationship between two or more embodiments of eternal essence, so working together to do something. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You use this contract. This isn't a contract, sorry. Heather, I was thinking of it as contract. Heather's saying it's a declaration. So I'm calling, it's like an I declaration. You're saying, I, as Mark Hoza, contract with Heather and Tucci Jarrett as eternal essence in body. We both contract, and it lays out all of the it establishes jurisdiction, it establishes the value, it's prepaid, pre-authorized, and pre-approved by our own value. So we then bring our own value to it. We then contract, or we then are working with each other. If we can do whatever we want under that jurisdiction that we've established. It's no longer under the. We're not needing to register a corporation to do business. We're not needing to register, a trust. It's like, it's very exciting. If you understand the power of this, it's substantial. You really need to look at that. I would suggest reading it and live with this idea. We now can contract with one another in a way that we establish jurisdiction between us and eternal essence. We are eternal essence embodied. We say this is where we're working at. We're working as eternal essence embodied with eternal essence embodied. We're essentially contracting, or we're declaring that we're working together, and whoever wants to be on the contract, on this declaration, is on the declaration from themselves. Like you have, let's say you wanted to work together on anything. Like if you want to work together to make a certain type of school system and support it with your own value, you could then say you have 20 people who want to do that. You get together. You can anyone can do this. Like you set up a declaration of you're declaring that you want to work together. You don't even have to say what you're going to work on. The next thing, if you want to, is you can write amendments and post amendments. Now, so if you understand this, this is the you're no longer posting in a UCC registry, though Heather's talking about making a registry probably within Project XIII is one obvious choice. Or actually, that's not really an obvious choice. It needs to be somewhere public. It needs to be legal. It's lawful notice in a public forum. So if you just fill out this declaration, this I declaration, with whoever you want to work with, and you post it on a website anywhere online, that is lawful notice. That then is notifying everyone else that you're working with this other internal essence embodied, and you're working together. It doesn't even have to say what you're working on, but now you establish jurisdiction, and you also establish what you need to. You also post you declare your value for that you can then work with the value itself, which is what Heather's working on, the details of the documentation for that. I mean, she's working on that now. She showed me some documentation for bonds, for a bond that is straight, like this homeless guy would write. I mean, he just chose to be off the grid, but any time that he chose to write a bond, it would have to be honored, and he would just put the bond up, and with the proper UCC filing information on it, which is different now. We're going to be working with different information on the bonds that we write, because we're going to be making bonds in the IUV exchange. So the IUV exchange is very exciting because it also gives us power, it gives us the ability to work in all currencies from it. I want to understand the mechanics of that more now. I'm not pretending like I know it more. I thought I do understand that it's possible to bond with a bank, and I'm wondering from Heather, is that going to be what we're going to all do? Will we all, if we need to have some, say, Australian dollars, do we bond with an Australian bank so that we can have some Australian dollars to work with in the interim whilst we convert people to the IUV exchange? I don't know. I'd like to know that. But I think that she's going to give more information on that, hopefully tomorrow. But I don't know. I'm not going to commit to that because I don't know. She was saying that she's working on the mechanics of that. I know she's working on the mechanics of that because that's what we were doing together. I just don't fully understand it. I'm working to understand things as quickly as possible, and I'm working then to educate others who are blogging and stuff, because there's this Raphael in Spain who's got a large following, Lisa's friend, and so people in different. He was really getting it, like what we were talking about.
The David Icke of Spain.
Yeah, he's fantastic. A really smart guy, and his English is good enough to really understand what I was talking about. I was trying to pass on as much as I could to him. He'll then pass it on to the Spanish-speaking world. Anybody else who can pass it into other languages is going to be hugely valuable. But really right now, Heather's gone out under the radar. It's not because she's not. It's not because she's dumping everybody. It's not because of anything other than she's working. This is Heather's not. It was never for her to do all of to talk to everybody, but it's great that she does, because when she speaks, it resonates with people's hearts. I know it did mine, and I'm glad that I got to work with. I'm very glad that I'm working with her directly now, because I really like working with Heather, and I'm glad that she's competent. I'm glad that she has contacts in the international bank, trade, and finance world. She does have abilities to do stuff for all of us. She is also saying, "Oh, don't wait, but do now. Act, be, and do now." So if you don't wait to figure out what you want to do, if you have something that you want to do, the question is to start asking ourselves now, if I had the access to all of the value that I needed, what would I do? What would I do with my life? What would I want to do while I'm here? What's important to me to achieve? So if I start looking at that and I say, okay, well, if you want to start playing, use this document, use this declaration, maybe work with somebody who you're already working with. I think you'll find, and this is what Heather's been saying, is just imagine, do, and be. And yes, we need tools. We're working on that. But don't wait for that. Imagine what you want your life to be, what you want to do. So anything that you want to do, imagine it.
Well, here's another good way of putting that too, Mark, just because that's a really good point that you're making right there, is people get in the habit of saying, well, I want to do this, but I don't have the money to do it.
Have I dropped
and then no, you're there, Lisa. And then all of a sudden, let's say, Mark, you want to open up an orphanage in Indonesia, and I say, okay, Mark, here you go. Here's $100,000 to go open up. They can hear us. Hello.
I think they can hear. Can they hear?
Can you guys hear? Clearly, okay. So then I say, Mark, here's $100,000 to go open up your orphanage in Indonesia, and you haven't done any of the groundwork yet. All now that you have is you have $100,000 and your idea to open up an orphanage in Indonesia. So what people can start doing right now is putting the pieces together, grabbing all the building blocks and starting to create some kind of a plan that obviously needs to stay fluid, to be open to change, because any number of variables can come in and alter the plan at any time. But it doesn't take any money to start building the network and making the contacts, to start doing what you want to do when you do have the money. And I think what people will find is in that process of doing, and in that process of being, and in that process of making those connections, is that a lot of times what will happen is things will unfold to allow you to go a lot farther than you would have ever thought possible without having any money. Maybe somebody comes in that has some bridge money or resources that they have access to, and they love your plan, so they're going to help support you in that endeavor because they find that they're passionate about it as well. So it doesn't take money to be able to start putting the pieces together. You can start doing that. You don't necessarily have to have a big bank account to do it, and I think that's the point that you're trying to make, and that's the thing that people can start taking action on right now.
Well, totally, because this is what Heather's saying, this is kind of how we ended up in Morocco, just so that everybody knows. We didn't go to Morocco on everybody's value or portion of everybody's value. There isn't a stash of silver that was or gold that was gathered, that was taken, and it is being used for everybody to go to Morocco. There were there was an intention made. Heather made an intention. She decided she wanted to work in that way to do the next stage. She said that she didn't need to do that, but she decided she wanted to do that, and she felt that energetically she was following her own energetic trail of like what resonated with her and what pulled into focus. So she decided she wanted to pull some people together. Now, I mean, I came in late on that, but when I started saying, when I started seeing that there was some, like some challenge, like how are we going to get people there and stuff, I had some value that I could pull to, and I wanted to say, okay, look, can we use this? Is there something? Can we work with this, Heather, so that we can bring more people there? And it just brought more different energy to it, and one thing went to the next. But it wasn't. It was a doing, and it's an example of what you can do. But and I really cringe when, this is a process. I really wish that it was available for everybody right now to right now. I would like to be able to have even access, I'd like to have $20,000 in my account that I can use, or $50,000 or $100,000. It wouldn't have to be a huge amount of money just to keep things rolling whilst I'm working on stuff and while we're getting everything out. That actually can happen in different ways. Let's say you've got something that you want to do. Somebody wants to make a one of the people in one of the groups was talking about how she wants to make a pet rehabilitation facility. Well, a lot of people would believe in that, and there are ways to fund that. You can do a crowdsource funding. So many people are passionate about pets, and animals, and if you have the wherewithal to do something, that has huge value. Some people have the money, some people have the wherewithal to do something. So if you're one who has the money and you already know how many people come to you asking you for help with different things, but you also know if you've got money, you also know it's very challenging to find someone who actually looks like they'll actually run the course of doing something. People say, give me the money and I'll know what to do with it. That is totally the wrong way to go about doing something. If you want to attract energy to something, start working in the direction of it. Start working in creating. Start the creative process. I mean, one great way to start, you could start with this declaration, because for one thing, it pulls you above. It starts in the new system, and it brings power it brings energy to the new system. Anybody can use that. You don't have to pay a fee to anybody to use that. Heather provided that contract. She provided that document. She knew how to make that document. I didn't, but she did, and we can all benefit by that. That's a huge gift. So use it. Start working together with that. If you want to do something with somebody, start using that document, that declaration. Post it on your website. Make it, it'll be posted on. There's one that Caleb and Yusuf did with Project XIII, because they're working together with Project XIII, and that'll be posted. I'm not sure if it already is, but it'll be posted as a that's a declaration of contract of value and where that it establishes the jurisdiction of where they're working above UCC, above the foreclosed UCC. It's not foreclosed, it's archived UCC. We don't any longer need to do UCC filings because the UCC is archived. We now need to start working on having tools to work with property, so that we can manage property, be custodians of the lands, so that we can work with our value in a way that we're 100% liable. And so if we do something that damages somebody else, that we have a liability about that, and other people can start stepping in. I'm not actually sure if I've dropped off.
No, you're good, Mark. You're good.
Nope.
No,
You're there.
good, Mark. Yeah.
So I would like to let me see if I could just say that the declaration, the way that I understand the two sides of it that I really wanted to convey tonight, that I was wanting to say that I think are helpful to know now, is first of all the contract, that declaration, that I declaration that I've posted on my website. You can pass it around, make it go viral, like pass it around, share it, use it. If there becomes a better document that Heather writes, well, then we'll pass that around and we can always amend. So everything that you do now, you can work with amendments.
Yeah.
So
can I just throw in something there? Look, there are zillions of people out there who will probably create their own version of this. Not just Heather. I mean,
if
someone comes up with something better, then anyone could do it.
Well, Chris, if they create their own version and it doesn't do the job and gets them in trouble, that would be a nuisance. I think I like the idea of using Heather's knowledge. She's not God, like well, we all are. But
No, I'm assuming that it meets the lawful requirements.
Total. That's the part that I'm.
But if there's something you want to add to it, that you and the person you're contracting with want to put in there, put it in there.
Yeah, you can put other stuff, but you need all of the prescient points. You need to leave the content. If you want to add other things in there, you can. But also, you don't need to add anything more in that first thing. That's just a declaration that you're going to work together, and it establishes the jurisdiction. It also establishes the value. So from there, you work with amendments. So you can post whatever you like or not post whatever you like. You don't actually have to post anything else. From then on, you could just decide what you do. There's no rule from anybody. There's no rule from the Australian Securities Exchange Commission or what Investment Commission or oh gosh.
We know what then.
What's ASIC for? Australian Securities Investment Commission. Anyway, they give rules. They give rules, and you've got fees for everything. Every filing every time you change your address, you need to pay a fee. Get the right form, pay a fee, file. With this, you just have your own website where you put everything up. It's a lawful notice to the world. Then Heather's talking about putting together, so the other part of that is Heather's talking about having some sort of a registry that we can manage, like that she can keep her eye on purely to make sure that people aren't messing around with it. Like others who would like this to not happen, that they wouldn't be messing around with it. And also it makes it easier to search. So if you want to search to say, okay, does anybody else have the same filing name, for example, you can. Or if you want to search for a particular filing and you want to find it, you can go in a database and find it. It would just be purely a registry. But then you don't have to, it's not like you have to have all these rules to follow with fees. Like this is just you make a public notice and you establish jurisdiction. You can also, if you wanted to, you could still keep working under all of the old rules, but they're all defunct, and this is moving into the future, and it's exciting as can be because now you establish your jurisdiction above the corporation of whatever country you're in. All these alleged countries, these alleged country governments are no longer in jurisdiction over you. You go in jurisdiction between you and eternal essence. I mean, I know I keep saying it, but it took me a while to wrap my head around it, and I think it bears repeating because it's simple, it's super simple, and if we get it, we can start working in this way. It's so exciting because we can now work directly with each other. We make our own rules with each other. Let's say we have really strong, interesting group projects like railroads or these things. We can come together and work with them.
Well, here's the thing too, real quick, Mark. To why this is so big, and I think this will probably make allow it to make sense for everybody. You're doing a great job, by the way. and explaining it, because I'm learning a lot about how a lot of this works that's coming together more than I understood it before this call. But before, when two parties wanted to come together and create an agreement, the standard operating procedure is that one of them goes and contracts a lawyer, and that lawyer is paid to etch out an agreement that is going to be in the best interest of their client to the nines, and the other person is basically they basically, if they want to get into that agreement, then they have to agree to those terms, and there's usually, in a lot of cases, no room for any negotiation, and if there is room for negotiation, the attorney is still kind of guiding that ship to make sure their client stays with all the weight of having the most interest and the most kind of weight to be driven to their side or their corner. Now this document is saying, look, this is in the best interest of both parties, and it's in the best interest of all that is, and everything that you can't really say in this line of conversation now that is this legal or is this illegal, because all the laws are all phony anyways. They're all created by the corporations, and they don't really have a whole lot of merit in where we're going. So it's in the best interest of all that is.
What Heather was saying was, what she yelled down that I didn't understand the other night was, she said it's lawful. It's a lawful notice. So you're essentially moving into just a common law. Like it's lawful notice. You're giving lawful notice. It's like choosing how we interact with each other, and then it's such a paradigm changer. And the fact is, and people come up, like the kind of questions that come up are fascinating if you watch them, because from myself, the questions that I come up with, like they're evidence of a long period of mind control and slavery mentality and victim mentality. Like, well, who's going to run the government? Well, what does the government do is another question you could ask. The government does certain things. It performs functions that actually we perform in groups. Human beings are social beings by nature, and we are very social. We prefer to work together. We prefer to belong. I mean, look at these Skype groups that have formed up. When nothing's happening in there, people are just talking with each other because they just feel like they belong. Like it's annoying to some people, and because there's nothing, sometimes there's nothing being said. It's just like, I love you guys. Oh, it's so good to feel like I'm with family. Well, all that stuff is evidence of how human beings work together. If you take that and you move that into how we contract, how we work together as an individual embodiments of eternal essence. We are eternal essence embodied, and each of us is eternal essence embodied. No one is different in that way. We all behave differently. How we choose to do and how we choose to be, how we choose to do especially, we are liable for, because if we affect somebody else in a good way, well, that actually that resonates. People resonate. If people start working together and saying, okay, I want to work together to make like Vera was doing amazing healing work while she was in Morocco, and so she's starting to look at, like, let's make a healing center, and others are going, yeah, this is great, let's make a healing center. Well, it's a healing center that heals people in a certain way, and it might adapt. Other people might be attracted to it for other modalities, but some people would have a real desire to be there and go there, and they can make it so that it's available for other people to come. And if they did it in Morocco, which it looks like they might, that would be super fun too, because you go there and you spend some time there and you like heal your body, have a fun time, learn how to work with some of the tools that we get a bit better at working with the IUV exchange perhaps, or maybe work with the and I don't know, just having fun and eating together, breaking bread. It's like magic to just eat together and like have fun, like just sit around and talk about dumb stuff is really bonding. It feels great though. But
we did do plenty of that while we were there.
Yeah, it's the meat. It was super fun. It was super good fun. So what I want to do is do it more. Like I want to do it around the world. Madrid was outstanding. Like meeting Lisa's friend in Madrid was, oh my gosh. Lisa's friends in Madrid were incredible. Lisa rolls with good friends. So you go around the world, spreading the word. Like we were talking to this guy, Raphael, man. Rafa's got this awesome website, with awesome blog, and he's got like 500,000 people following him, and he's just spreading the good word in Spanish. And we had a chance to have a few drinks and a bite to eat in this square, in this piazza, in the middle of whatever you call it in Spanish, in the middle of Madrid. It was outstanding. We got to see an original Picasso because Lisa's friend was so cool. I mean, I'm talking about life. Like, let's start living it in a fuller way where we're the creditors. So the other thing that I wanted to say, and I'm sorry to hog this, but the other thing that I really think is important to get out and really out, because everybody's asking about these things, and I would really rather talk about it now in one hit, and then we can go into questions afterwards. But it's really important that people see that there's the way that we start working with these declarations is establishing our jurisdiction, and then we've got the side of the IUV exchange. Now the IUV exchange, when Caleb puts that into Project 13, that'll be super cool. I totally dig Project 13 personally. I love it. I think that it's going to be one of the coolest tools on the internet because it allows anyone to pass information via the internet, which is very difficult to shut down because it's so decentralized. And they can send information via the internet in a secure way where no one can see what they just sent. Now that's crazy. I mean, I know people are coming up with questions, good questions, but I would say just have rest your mind at ease. There are some people were anxious that it was going to be 3 days before, only 3 days, and data would be wiped off the servers. Well, that's also, I hassled Caleb really hard on that, and Caleb's really good to work with because if you're really reasonable with him, he's really reasonable back. He's very, very reasonable, very logical, and anyway, I have a great working relationship with him, and totally one of my highlights being in Morocco was getting to know Caleb and hang out with Caleb. I love him, and I'm really pumped about what he's done with Project 13 and what he's going to do with it. But if you look at this Project 13, the way it holds data for a few days, well, it'll also have a thing that will be like just thinking of the name that he was calling it. It's like it sort of essentially acts if you don't, it can tell that you haven't come on, and then let's say you lose your phone for a few days, or you go camping and you're out of reach for a few days and you're not online all the time. Which I say, Caleb, get a grip, man. Not everybody's online all the time. Like some people have a life too. So so he took that well.
Caleb has no concept of that because he's online 24/7.
Yeah. Dude, not everybody's like your friends, and a lot of us are trying to get offline, and so as much as possible. But it'll have something like it'll perform other functions as well, which are going to be awesome. That'll sort of like hold your space in our RSA encryption, which a higher encryption, whilst you're away for all the metadata. And then when you come in, it'll download to your device all of your data. So especially for people who don't have a big network. But if you do have a network, you can just come back in and say, I don't really want to explain that. What I want to say is that's sorted. Caleb's a really good programmer, and he's working with great teams. It's not only Caleb, but I say Caleb because it's mainly Caleb. Project 13 is Caleb's baby. It's a huge gift to humanity. I just could kiss him, except he's a guy and he's not as cute as he could be, so I don't.
Hey, Mark, it's okay. I'm not going to tell anybody this. You already did. You already did in Morocco.
Yeah, I did. Don't tell anybody, jerk.
Stays in Morocco.
Such a jerk.
So we already made that agreement.
I've got it on video.
It's all right. I'm not saying. It's all right. It's not saying. I kiss him. I don't even mind saying I love Caleb. I totally love Caleb. Anyway, so next thing that needs to be explained in a really and best I can. This is just from my point of view, but I think that it needs to be said in a way that it's imperfect. It is my point of view. It's not perfect. It isn't what Heather's. It isn't totally. I don't think it's totally accurate with what Heather's got planned, but I think it's close. I was hoping that Heather would be talking about this stuff, but since she's not here, I think people want to hear this stuff, as imperfect as it is. So here it goes. So if I say, I got my value. In fact, it isn't $10 billion. It's unlimited. I have my own value, but I can say, okay, I bond myself to. I bond my value, which is my soul in my physical body. I bond it to my IUV, my currency. It's my value. That it's my representation of my value in I exchange. I've got, and I say 10 billion. Right now, I've got that. Now we also say in the IUV exchange, the way it works is going to be 1-to-1 to every currency. So 10 billion IUV is 10 billion euro, is 10 billion US dollars, is 10 billion pesos. That straight across the board. Now what we're doing is running a whole. We're introducing the new financial system, which
but
Heather
it's
is
100 billion dinar, right?
Sorry, guys. Yeah, exactly. That was right. Brian,
sorry, Mike. Go ahead, then.
You're on it. Okay, so we go. I got my dinar. My dinar is worth more than your dinar, you ding dong. Now that's the dong. That's the dong of something else altogether.
Okay, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
All right. So now you got your. So Heather and I are going to run these things. I'm a pest when it comes to. Look, I'm such a pest that I ended up hanging out with these guys in Morocco. I mean, I just kind of kept asking questions and was in Heather's face, and finally she for whatever reason decided she'd invite me along to the party. Now now she's paying the price because I'm asking a lot of questions, and I'm pretty if I don't get something, I keep asking, even if it's really dumb. Like I don't if I don't understand it, I just say I don't understand it till I do understand it. What I do get is that fast as we can, let's move everybody into this. What I don't get yet fully is how are we going to bridge to that where I can pay my landlord who does not get this. She does not get this. But she might get this one day. But right now she does not. And I need to pay rent for where I'm staying, the house that I'm at. So if I can pay her in Australian dollars, I'm a happy guy. So if I'm a happy guy, I'm going to stop hassling Heather. So if Heather can give me some way to work with my value, that I can bond myself to get some value in Australian dollars, I'm going to stop bugging Heather, and I'm going to teach everyone else how to do it. And I think
so you make it sound like she's going to change the entire financial system just to get you off her back.
Well, like there's actually a queue forming here, Lisa. I mean, that's the issue here, is that there's real issues to work out on the ground now, which are transient but still need to be dealt with, and that's what Mark's talking about. Yeah. So, you'd like to buy that old pub and
so he can be the little terrier biting at her heels on our behalf.
dog that you do not want in your house. I am that dog.
Well, Mark, I'm right there with you, because the difficulty of getting the banking system to cooperate is a huge one, and this is the biggest lever we've got. Okay, so we really need to pull it and make it work.
Should we take some calls? And we've got people with questions.
Yeah, she so will make it work. She is making it work, and Heather, even though she acts dumb sometimes.
Oh wow! You're lucky
she's still not here. She's still not here, and I'm so far away from her right now. She cannot reach me. I know how long her arms
she can reach you.
Oh yeah.
Her arms are long, but they're not that
She'll
long.
Wait till you're sleeping, my man. You will not wake up and you won't know what hit you.
Heather is such a pain in the butt. I want to tell you this. Heather's a pain in the butt when she gets in your head. So she hassles you. She teaches you stuff, and she niggles at you, and she's like makes fun of you and like plays around. You go like, would you just leave me alone? So then I go to sleep. This is really fun because I go to sleep. I'm slightly more knowledgeable about these things when I wake up, and I know it's her. It's really fun working with her, but she is a goober, and she's not here right now.
And Mark, the points you make are so prescient, because
that
you just
Heather
said,
is a goob.
No, not that Heather is a goob. Not that Heather is a goob.
She doesn't only act dumb. She should get on these shows so she can defend herself.
All right.
Against
Mark.
being a goob.
Chris has the conch. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, a multiply, Mark's looking for a way to make this practically work to shift everybody to the IUV, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So, there is a process that we're going to have to undergo, and we can't just say, ping, it's just going to happen like that. It's going to have a finite succession of events to it.
Yeah,
and it's pretty easy to see what they are, and we can have endless discussions about exactly how that plays out in terms of the way the system itself gets morphed by us to something new.
Yeah. I think we should give Heather like 1 or 3 days. Give her some time.
I think it's what everybody's looking for, Chris. You kind of are speaking on behalf of everybody. And I know everybody in the chat room, everybody that's listening on this call, and everybody that's ready for to test out their new IUV wheels. You know what I mean? So we're all on the same page in that regard.
Yeah, look, I'm sitting here listening to Mark, and I'm thinking, gee, the bank that actually accepts our bonds is going to be the one that will survive.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good message to get out to your bank manager, because what will probably happen is that you'll find that there'll be a bank which takes the plunge and says, right, we're going to do this, and it'll probably be a bigger international bank, and say it's HSBC or something like that. Fine, we'll just track whoever. I don't know who's most likely to fall off the the predetermined peg that they're all sitting on, but all of the other banks will have to fall in line, or the end. All the people will walk away from.
I think we really need to do it absent limits. The reality is we want to be able to buy stuff in our local currencies. How that might look, that's a detail that I think let's focus. If we want to talk about the collective imagination, the power of the collective, and the power that we normally give to, that people give every, several times a day at the same time of day, give to the, pointing their energy to the tower that then shoots it up into space where it gets harvested, and or once a week in the temple. And this is us using our creative ability to vision what we want. I suggest focus on what you want, not the how-tos being manifest, because what you want could manifest in a more efficient way than what even Heather or anyone else is envisioning today. It might actually pull something into focus that's much, much better by just focusing on the end result.
Yep.
Guys, we've only got 20 minutes left, so let's take some calls.
I'm good.
You good? Okay. Area code 707.
That's Sonoma County.
Hello? 707?
Yeah, Bob, you might need to mute yourself.
Okay, we'll move on. Area code 301.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Judy.
Yes.
I get to speak to Brian twice today. This is way too much fun. And I just want to say welcome back, all of you, to your respective playgrounds. And it's really great to have you all on together. Oh, Judy Pandora. Can you hear me?
Oh, we know.
Yeah, we know Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, Brian. Hello. What a great show tonight. Oh, my gosh. There's so much to just let move through my energy system. It's going to take a while. Such good stuff.
Did you have any questions?
I think
No. That's all I wanted to say. I'm going to let you go so that you can have somebody else ask a question. I just wanted to say hi.
Oh, Judy.
I'm sorry. But not really.
Well, it's lovely to hear your giggle, so thanks for calling in.
Bye,
No problem. Bye. You guys have a great evening. Bye.
Thanks, bye. Okay, area code 732. Area code 732.
Well, that's us.
That's us.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. This is the.
Oh, there's lots of echo flow. Is it flow?
Flow.
Yes,
Flow.
it's Flo along with a buddy of mine.
This is Mark from East Coast, New Jersey.
Flo and friend.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
We're just in my call right now. We're just relaxing right now, just listening to you guys, and it's going pretty good. I appreciate everything that everybody's doing. Man, it's been such a long time, man, and we're finally coming to the, that threshold, baby, and I'm just ready for it, guys. I'm on board with everything that's going on. If Mark, if you want to say anything, I don't want to ramble at all, so just go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I just wanted to just reiterate that some of the things that you guys said on the call, Flo and I were just talking about just a few nights ago, and it's just so ironic how, the energy that that people are putting out and saying what they want to do and making plans, it's just gelling together because we were literally just having discussions about what we want to do. And just like you said, I'm on board with everything. I appreciate everything that everyone's done. I would say that, Mark, when you find out how to convert the IUV into stuff that we can actually tangibly spend, please let us know, okay? That's it. That's all I got to say. Flo, if you want it back, go ahead.
That's exactly it, man. Just let me know when I can get something we can all use to buy that good old loaf of bread, And like I said, we're just on here on my call. If anybody wants to call in, we're here on the call right now. So anybody after the show, come on in. We're here, guys. Have a chat. We appreciate you guys. Have a great one.
Thank you, Flo.
Thank you.
Okay, we have area code 901.
That would be me.
That would be you. And who is me?
Be. Martin.
Martin? Hi, Martin.
Yes, hi. I have two very, very quick questions. One is I'm gathering from everything I'm hearing, there is not yet a concrete process in place that's going to be when the IUV exchange goes live, where we can actually take that and go somewhere and put our hands on some money to pay debts, to pay student loans. There's a lot of us out here who just have tremendous pressure. I'm sure
you're correct. You're correct that it's not out there yet, but also I'll put two things to you. I'd like to say two things to that. One is, yes, you need to have ways to pay things, but the other is, and that's coming. But if you use your ability to pay things to feed the system that has been enslaving us by paying off the loans that, these are actually, you're paying off loans to banks that are foreclosed on, and that then reinvigorates them. What I would say to you is this, and this is what I'm just wanting to make this point for everyone to consider. First of all, I think that we need access to our value in a way that we can buy stuff. That's a no-brainer. Second thing is that we really consider what we do with the debts, the alleged debts that were actually fraudulently given to us, that we were the creditors for those debts. We actually had the value in the first place. That value was taken from us fraudulently, given back to us as a loan, as a debt that we had to then repay, and then we had to slave away to repay the debt. So what I'm saying is, let's have a way to pay for things, but then don't go just paying off all your debts. Move forward in a way that you have then wherewithal. Why do you need to pay debts? It's simple. If you're stuck in a debt slavery system, you need to pay your debts so that you have a credit rating, so your credit score is good enough to get another loan, to be able to do things. If you shoot your credit rating out of the sky by doing certain things, you end up with inability to do stuff. But now we're giving access, giving you and me and everyone access to their value with tool sets. And that's the next thing. I wish it was sooner. I wish it was now. You're right that it's not right now. I thought we would have that available by the time we got out of Morocco. Morocco was great work. We did important work. We didn't come out of it with tools that are manifest, that you can see right now. However, a great deal is moving on the international bank trade and finance side of things because of what we did and what Heather's doing now. So I would just say, that's where it's at.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I'm coming to grips with the fact that the foreclosure that's in process on my home may well occur, but I'm also coming to grips with the fact that if I've got $10 billion, do I really care? And
exactly.
If,
most people are attached to their home because of the investment they've made in it.
Yeah, but if you have your home,
and I feel that way too. But on the other hand, with that kind of value at my disposal, I probably find a lot of different places to spend my time other than right here.
You're also even if you wanted to stay in your same house, like a lot of people would, they still could, and they would have a lot different position to do that. They would have their bellies would be full, and they would feel confident because they had some resources to work with. They could employ other people. They could engage people and learn and have help get help from others to deal with it, to deal with the things coming. I know you hear what I'm saying. So
I do. I understand what you're saying, and with the kind of value that we're talking about. Will be in a position the shoe will be on the other foot.
I think a good point to make here too, Mark, is that we're going through a time right now where people are purging the old to make way for the new. And I think that applies to so many different aspects of our lives, from might be relationships, it might be jobs, it might be places that we live, it might be situations and circumstances, and it's hard to see through the fog right now. But if you're coming up on the close of a chapter, that just means that it's creating a way for a new chapter to be written. And a lot of the times, in a lot of situations, unfortunately, that is requiring people to move out of a situation that they're comfortable in. But that's just the universe making way for something that's going to be on the other side of the rainbow a whole lot better. And so it's right now, I think the most important thing is to keep a good attitude, follow the energetic trail, and know that the universe is stacking things up perfectly, and everything will always end up on top with that attitude and that approach to these really tough situations that a lot of people are going through right now.
Yeah,
well,
and could I say
a lot of very, very tough situations.
Brian, that's the conversation I want to have tomorrow as well, is to expand on that.
And could we look at,
let him finish though, bro.
Let me go over to the second part of my question, because it's a different subject, and I think it's what a lot of people want to know about, and that is things that we want to do moving forward. We've talked a lot about all these suppressed technologies like free energy and cancer healing mechanisms and replicators and stuff like that. How real is that stuff, and does it exist?
Well, there's a lot of technology that I've been working. I mean, I came into this with a lot of access to technology personally. So there are, like I'm working with people who literally are working on flying saucers. I mean, that's in the free energy side of things. There's stuff that I know that I'm working with personally with people that it's exotic. It's like things like, you have a device that it tunes into it resonates with the energy around it and dials in as much energy as you need, as much energy as you pull out of it, it fills up again. And that doesn't require any fuel. That's just it's just an energy.
I mean, here's the way you have to look at that particular side of the question. Go out and watch Hope Girl's Fix the World documentary. Anybody that hasn't watched it, it's 3 hours long. It's 3 parts. I realize 3 hours is a big time investment, but just watch the first part. If it resonates, watch the other two. What's happening with her and her organization is there's people that are coming out of the woodwork that have been working on propulsion technologies, replicator technologies, all these different. I mean, I think it's part of the story that everybody knows that there's all sorts of technologies that have been suppressed that aren't out there because they're controlled by by the banks and the finance and all these people that know they lose power when these particular type of technologies come out. So if one kind can exist, and if you can believe in the idea that there's something out there that can produce free energy, where does that ultimately end? I mean, there's so much out there that we don't know. So have I seen working prototypes of a replicator machine, or have I seen a working prototype of a free energy device? No, but I've heard a truckload of stories of people that have seen with their own eyes things that have, and concepts that have been so far suppressed that we're coming up to a time now where the secrets are not going to be able to be kept for much longer, and where that goes and what ultimately that means for humanity. I think that the chapter of that story is yet to be told, but it is a very important chapter that's being written as we move into this new shift and this new paradigm.
Yeah. Well, so I'd just like to...
That's part of it, non-local. Yeah. I mean, we got the internet from non-locals, so there's a lot. The Intel chip came from something that we found inside of a flying saucer, where they got the technology to create the Intel chip. So so much of it's because of the truth embargo. A lot of it is still chalked up as conspiracy theory or a myth, but it's a lot of it is true, a lot of it is bogus. Right now, you got to read between the lines, but the truth isn't going to be able to. The illusions aren't going to be able to be kept in the dark much longer. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Yes. Cool. I know you've got a calls, and I'm hogging it, so I'll hop off.
Well, we appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you. And just before we take the next call, I'd just like to put a thought, add to what Mark's saying about about going to the bank with a bond and converting some of your value to current fiat currency, so you can deal with problems inside this system. Now, one of the aspects of that is if the bank accepts your bond, they actually also accepting they've committed fraud against you in the way they loaned you your actual mortgage. Okay, so technically all you really need to do is go to them and say, here's my bond, and I want you to put this value into my account. And I know that by accepting my bond, you're also going to write off all my debt without subtracting it from this value because I've already paid for it. Does that make sense, Mark?
Yeah, acknowledging one is acknowledging all.
Correct. So you shouldn't actually have to say, okay, take this bond and use it to pay off my debt. It's actually already paid for. And the fact that you even know that and put it right to them will again, that's just more of an energetic impact.
Yeah, so see what I don't get, this is kind of part where I don't get. If it seems to me that if you were to make a bond with a bank so that you could use, say, a certain currency that you want to use, and your mortgage is defunct because it's already a fraud. It's already been demonstrated to be a fraud. That whole study has been done, and the UCC filings were done by the One People's Public Trust, but Heather did those filings with the trustees that they made the filings, and those were done. So Caleb, Heather, and Randall filed the filings that then foreclosed on all those loans. So really, it's just it seems that the real point that we need to move to now is like not to go and pay those back, but work with the bank, but it's to actually figure out how we can trade, and that's the part, really, that's just the next thing. So
well, the bank will know what's in it for them, and what's in it for them is a fee. So let's negotiate a fee.
That's what I was thinking. But I haven't cleared that with Heather. I don't know if that's what she's thinking. Like, that's what I was thinking. How does the bank benefit? Well, you just say, look, it's a service you're providing me. I'll give you bonds $300,000 worth of my value. I want, in exchange for that, I want a debit card that I can use against it. I want to guarantee that it's not going to get locked up. I'll give you X amount of dollars for a fee for doing this for me, and I've got an account, and I have normal account access using a debit card and whatever tools, of internet banking that I need to use in that currency. And if I give it to them in a way that they can lock it up and trade with it, then that's a problem, because then they do things like they lock up large blocks of money into medium-term notes, and they make these overnight trades. They do, like, all the trading platforms get, with these different all this stuff that happens with the value in trading platforms, I think, is what we're going to see a change with. But that's my understanding. Again, I'd like to talk with Heather more about this, because I don't fully understand exactly where we're going on that.
Okay, Mark, we've only got one more caller and 5 minutes left, so we'll jump into that. We've got area code 626.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What was your name?
My name is Mark Sandoval, and I am really happy to have you guys.
Mark.
Brian, hi, Brian. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Brian?
Yeah,
hi, buddy. How you doing, buddy?
Mark and I are neighbors. Hey, Mark, I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing great, fantastic, and I'm so excited for all you guys that were over there in Morocco, and it's the most amazing adventure you guys were on. It was so cool. I felt like I was there with you guys all the way. I kept meditating really hard. I wanted to tap into that energy that you guys were doing there, and I personally felt and feel to this moment just a tremendous burst of energy through that whole experience. I don't know how that's possible, but I know that every minute I was I'll tell you what, I was going nuts over the lack of information, the silence on all the blogs from all you people. I've got all you guys bookmarked, but it didn't bother me a bit because I knew that there was a lot of really good stuff going on. I was sending all my love and energy as much as possible to you guys, and regarding the topic at hand that everybody's speaking about with this UV exchange, I tell you what, I have personally cleared all my debt, even at the expense of bankruptcy, because there's no way am I going to put out any of my value towards a loan that quite frankly I have endorsed myself through my own value, and I completely understand what you guys are saying about that. So I'm really excited about this because I have some great plans and some great information that is being brought forward within myself in what I plan to do. And without trying to sell it in any way, I don't need to do that because I just know that I'm in the right place, and I'm in the right place with you people. And the information that you guys are bringing forward is just tremendous, and I'm so excited and happy and looking forward to more and a long-lasting relationship with everything that you guys are doing. You're awesome, all of you.
Wow.
I feel like we're on the threshold of just the most incredible explosion of creativity.
Absolutely.
You can feel it.
My
it's
God.
palpable.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've got, I'm 54 this Thursday, and the guys at work, they just don't know where I'm coming from. It's so funny. The younger guys at work. I work in construction, and I do architectural aluminum and glass, and they're like, you're like a 50-year-old kid. The energy is off the charts. I'm telling you, the DNA transformation that we're all going through right now, I am an example of it. I'm like the poster child of it. It's amazing. It really is. It's fantastic.
We're down to the last minute, my man. Mark, I'll connect with you this week, my man. You're on my to-do list, so I'll give you a call.
For sure. Just settle in, Brian. No worries, man. I'm there for you. No problem.
Cool, man.
Okay, I'll be talking to you guys.
Bye.
Thanks,
all right, love you.
Bye.
Okay, guys, we are down to our last few seconds, so thank you so much for joining us today. Please come back tomorrow for the collective imagination, because there is an extension to this conversation that I want to have, and it's about letting go of a lot of the attachments that we've had and continue to have. So, 10 seconds. Okay. Thanks, Mark, much. You've been amazing today.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
I was nervous. That was fun.
All good.
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.